Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited to be sitting down and filming a little chatty video because I absolutely love these sit down chatty videos. I know you guys love them too. It's just like sitting down with your bestie and having a chat. I mean, that's how I feel anyway, and I hope you guys feel the same. So I'm super excited for this one because this one is advice with Nell. Advice with me. This was actually recommended by quite a few of you, so thank you so much for your recommendations. I absolutely loved the idea. So I did a little question box last week, I believe, or the week before, I don't even know anymore, and I got you guys to ask some questions or some topics that you'd like some advice on. Obviously this is just my advice, my opinion on things. You don't have to listen to me, you don't have to take any of my advice, and if you feel like you should do the complete opposite to what I say, then go for it. You know your situation the best, but it is always nice to get a second opinion or just, you know, someone else's outlook on things, because sometimes when we're in a little bit of a pickle, like one of the questions I saw says, sometimes when we're like in a bit of a pickle or something, we kind of have like that tunnel vision and we only see things in one certain way, in one certain perspective. So sometimes it's nice to get someone else's perspective or opinion, or, you know, just someone else's input as well. So I guess that's what I'm here for today. I got so many of these questions come through. I was actually mind blown. For some reason, whenever I do a question box for a YouTube video, so many more questions come through, whereas if I just do them for like my Instagram story, I don't get as many. I guess you guys prefer me sitting down and chatting like this and going into more detail or something like that. Anyway, let's get straight into the questions. I wish I could do all of them, but this video would honestly go for hours, so I've just picked my fave few and I'll answer them. And if you guys love this video and you want me to do another one, then I can do another one and answer some more questions in the future. So yeah, just let me know if you like it and we'll go from there. So the first one, how do I let go of toxic friends? I'm finding it hard to say no. Honestly, I know it can be tough, especially when you are really close with them or you have been for a long time and there's not really like anything. I've totally been in this situation before where there's not like one specific thing that you have an argument over or something, you know what I mean? Like if you have an argument with someone, then it's easy to cut off the friendship or something like that, or if there's something you don't see eye to eye on. But if there really isn't anything like that, but that you know that they're a toxic person and you want to sort of distance yourself, the thing that I found was the most helpful is just rip the band-aid off and just start distancing yourself. And it doesn't have to be like, you know, cold turkey, like ghosting them and never speaking to them again, but just slowly distancing yourself. And you are saying that you're finding it hard to say no. I'm guessing it's because you either feel bad or you feel like they've got control over you, or maybe you feel like you have FOMO if you say no to hang out, and then you'll be like, shit, I wish I was there. But I guess like just think of it as the bigger picture, and in the moment you might be like, oh shit, like, you know, I should just say yes because I feel bad or whatever. But just think like that's going to make you feel good at the time, but then when you actually go into that situation and you're around them, you're just going to think, oh, if I just said no, I'd already be a step forward. You know what I mean? So every time you say yes, you're just taking a step backwards and you're not making any progress forwards. And just think like, I've mentioned this before, the way that you can sort of distinguish of who your toxic friends are and which people shouldn't be in your life is just picture yourself at your absolute happiest, like at your prime, like when you're feeling your most happy and calm and chilled out and just everything's amazing. Like, you know, when you just have those moments where you feel like that, where just nothing could possibly go wrong, everything's just amazing. Picture yourself in that state and then think about which people are there with you. And the people that fit into that are the people that you should definitely surround yourself with, and the people that don't fall into that category, or if you think about them in that feeling, you feel like they would just ruin it for you, or you just don't see them fitting into that vibe that you got going on, they are the people that you need to distance yourself from. And so just think about that whenever you are sort of having doubts. I know a lot of the time, like especially with friendships and relationships, like toxic people can have that control over you and make you feel bad for saying no and that kind of thing and for distancing yourself. But just know that in the long run you will be better off, and just start slowly distancing yourself. Like, just start saying no slowly to little things. It doesn't have to be big things. You don't have to completely lose touch, like I said, or ghost them or never speak to them again. Just slowly back away, and then eventually you will find yourself without them in your life. And I know that that works because I have done that from experience. And it's just like an easy fade out kind of thing. And then just find your good friends and all the other people that, you know, lift you up and make you really happy and support you and that kind of thing. Surround yourself with them, so then you don't have to feel like you're sitting at home alone and missing out on, you know, going out or whatever. So yeah, just slowly drift away from that person or those people, and yeah, use that time to either work on yourself or spend time with people that you know are good for you. So I don't know, I hope that helps. Next question. I thought I was completely over my ex, but now I'm seeing someone new and all the old feelings for my ex are coming back. Do you think this is normal? I don't know. I have never personally gone through this myself, so I don't know whether it is normal or not. But I think if someone is your ex, they are an ex for a reason. You have moved on from them, things didn't work out, that's in the past, and I think you need to remember that that's in the past and you leave that in the past. I think maybe what you might be going through is maybe in your like new relationship you are being reminded of things. Like, I've only had one other serious relationship before Ben, and sometimes like some of the things we do or we go through, like, it makes me think back of doing that same thing in my past relationship, because I don't know, it's just like it's a natural sort of trigger that just makes you think about those things, because you're always going to be comparing like how things were there then, how they are now, kind of thing. But for me, like, those feelings have never come back, because I've learned to let go of that, and I've learned that that wasn't good for me, and that's like very much in the past. Like, that's very far back in my brain. It feels like another life. But I feel like if those feelings are starting to come back for you, maybe, like, to me, when I hear that, I think maybe there are loose ends or unfinished business there with your ex. It sounds like you don't have closure, and I think that is just a really important thing, that you need to be able to move on and start a new life with someone else. Closure. So maybe, I don't know your situation because you obviously didn't go into much detail. Maybe DM me. If this was your question, DM me and let me know, and maybe I can talk about this a little bit further. But from what I heard, and like the first thing that sort of comes to my mind is maybe, depending on what your situation is, of course, maybe you need to go back to your ex and tie up some of those loose ends, or, you know, maybe there are still things that you need to sort out with each other or figure out. I don't know, just maybe you just need closure so that you can close that book, close that chapter, and just move on. Because I think unless you get that closure and unless you fully let that go, you won't be able to move on, and those feelings and stuff are gonna keep following you. So yeah, I guess that's just my view on it. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. But definitely DM me, because I would I feel like I'd be able to answer it a lot better with a bit more context. Tips on transitioning a side hustle into a full-time career. I look up to you so much. Oh, thank you. That is so sweet. I'm so glad that you look up to me, even though that just baffles me. I'm like, little old me. Okay. Tips on transitioning a side hustle into a full-time career. Honestly, just gotta be patient and just keep working hard at it. For me, when my business was a side hustle, I was sort of just like working at it, like, you know, on the side. I had so much going on throughout the 3 years that I had my business before it became like my full-time job, and I always had other priorities and other things that were more important, like studying and work and all that kind of thing. And I always say this, you get out what you put into it. So I was always just doing little bits and bobs here and there, and that's what I was getting out of it. It was just like, you know, a little thing on the side that I loved. It was kind of like more of a hobby, I guess. But then I really decided to start putting in the hard yards, long hours, lots of work, and just like constant attention. It's like when you've got a baby. And if you just kind of like, you know, have it here and there and you just kind of give it a bit of attention here and there, it's probably just gonna stay a baby. I don't think it's gonna grow up much. But if you know, are a really good parent and you really put in, a baby was probably not even a good example, but you know what I mean, and you really put in so much effort and so much work into it, and you use your time and your money and your resources wisely, then you will slowly watch it flourish and grow. And that is honestly the best advice I have, like just consistency and patience and just hard work. And I know this helped me so much, and I know it can be hard, like if you are working full time, like for another job, but you need to treat your side hustle like a full-time job for it to become a full-time job, if you know what I mean. So you need to be working on it as you would if it was your full-time job. And I know it can be really hard at the start, but just power through it and eventually you will get there. And then you will get to a point where you're like, damn, this is making me enough money, this is stable, I can quit my 9 to 5 or whatever and do this full time. Nothing worth having comes easy, and unfortunately, that's just it. There is no easy answer to that. I know that's probably what you're expecting, like some sort of magic formula, but really that's all it is. Advice on how to not binge eat before bed. It's my worst habit and gets me down. I have honestly been there. That's why I chose to answer this question, because I've definitely been there. I am such like an emotional eater, and especially a snacker. Like I'm an emotional snacker. I love snack food, I love snacks, I love sweets. And especially if I've had a really long, busy, stressed day, I get to bed, I put on a Netflix or a movie or something, and I'm just like, relax, and I'm like, okay, now I just want a snack. Like now I just want to eat, I just want to eat my feelings, and just make me feel better. I feel like unless you've gone through it, you don't realize like how much of a toll it makes on your mental health, because it makes you feel shit. You don't have a good sleep, you feel like shit, you wake up bloated, it's just not a fun time. And I feel like when we're in bed and we're snacking, like I could go through a whole big bag of like chips in like 2 seconds and not even realize that I've done it, and it's bad. But there are a few things that helped me, and now I like never snack, only if it's like the weekend and me and Ben are watching a movie together or something, we'll have like an ice cream or something. But yeah, I barely ever snack now because I just don't feel like it. And what really helps me is have a big dinner. That is my first tip. Have a really big dinner so you are full. If you're full, you don't think about snacking, you don't think about dessert, like that kind of thing. And honestly, that helped me so much, because I would always have a dinner, feel like, you know, satisfied, but then half an hour later, I'll be like, okay, give me the snacks, like, because I'm hungry again. So have a really big meal. Have a big dinner that keeps you nice and full and nice and satiated. Make sure you got plenty of protein and healthy fats, because that's what's going to keep you feeling full. So that's what I do. The second thing is I make myself a cup of tea in bed, because when I'm laying in bed watching a movie, I feel like I'm like, you know, I wouldn't mind having something, so I always have a cup of tea. I love my herbal teas. Puka is my favorite brand. I have like so many flavors in my tea cupboard, so every night I kind of open my tea cupboard and I'm like, all right, which one am I gonna have today? And that's like my little, you know, little fix in bed, and it helps so much. Another thing is brush your teeth when you get to bed, because once you brush your teeth, you are less likely to think about food and think about snacking. So yeah, have a big meal. If you like your herbal tea, have a herbal tea or a hot chocolate or something that you like to wind down with. Brush your teeth, because then you won't feel like you want to snack. And then if none of those seem to work for you, try to limit the amount of time you have just in bed, just chilling. If you know that none of these are going to work for you and you're just going to want to binge eat in bed, don't allow yourself to have that time in bed for you to do that, if you know what I mean. So keep yourself busy, have your dinner, have your shower, whatever you want to do, get in your PJs, and then once you get to bed, just go to bed. Like go to sleep, turn it off, go to sleep. Don't like sit in bed and watch a TV series or something like that, because that's just going to make your mind be like, okay, I'm going to snack. And that doesn't mean you have to do that forever, but just until you kind of get back into that routine. And because our brain is like any other muscle in our body. We go to the gym to work out our glutes, we go do squats to make our bums big. So the brain is the same. We need to work it out and we need to train it, and eventually we can train it to do exactly what we want it to do, but it just does take a little bit of work. So if that means just going to bed and going straight to bed for a few weeks until you get into that habit of not eating in bed, then that might be helpful. But yeah, those are just some tips that really helped me, and I hope that that helps you and anyone else that might be experiencing the same thing. How to remember to drink enough water throughout the day. I'm the worst. Okay, drink bottle. Get a drink bottle. If I don't have a drink bottle, I won't drink any water. Today, I have barely drank any water because my drink bottle is in my car. There you go. But I just carry around a drink bottle with me all the time, and I don't know why, but I find it really, really helpful to have a drink bottle with a little sippy thing. I have like a Naked Harvest bottle. It's a nice like stainless steel one, so it keeps my water nice and cold, and it also has a little sippy top with a straw. And I find, I don't know why, but if you drink from like a sippy top or a straw, you just tend to drink more water. I don't know if it's because it's easier, you just pick it up and just drink. But when you've got like a screw top, you kind of like, it's a bit more effort to screw it off and drink, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I find it so much easier, and it also helps to have a big drink bottle. Mine's I think about 700 mils or so it's not that big, but I do refill it all the time, and I just like it because it's a good size and it's got the sippy top. But yeah, get yourself either a big drink bottle, just a drink bottle in general, have it around you all the time. Getting one that keeps your water cold is good too, because you're more likely to drink it. And also another thing, electrolytes are awesome. You can get so many really yummy flavors of electrolytes. I'll sometimes pop electrolytes in my water because it just tastes nice, and you're more likely to drink more of it when it tastes good. So yeah, hope that helps. Next question. Would love to hear some tips and tricks on how to approach brands / places to collab with. I get this question asked all the time, and honestly, I said this before, and I feel like I'm not much of an expert to talk about this because I don't really reach out to brands and stuff to collaborate with me. Most of the work that I do either comes from my agency or brands that come to me directly. I just don't have the time to be like searching for brands and messaging them and stuff, because like social media isn't my full-time job, my business is, and that's kind of where most of my energy and time goes into. So I guess I don't feel like I have to go out and find work and that kind of thing. But I understand that for a lot of people that are in this industry full-time or want to, you know, get more work and want to get into it full-time, they might want some tips on obviously how to go out and get work and approach brands and stuff. But I will say a few tips that I would have as someone who is a business owner, and I have had people reach out to me before wanting to work with me, and I think there are a few things from like a business perspective, things that are attractive and things that aren't. Firstly, if you're going to approach a brand, definitely make it genuine. Show them that you are a genuine good fit for the brand. I get girls messaging me all the time that have no idea what my brand is about. I look at their profile, they do not look like they're aligned with natural skincare at all. Make sure you genuinely are aligned with the brand and you think you would love their products. Even better if you have tried their products before and you can tell them, you know, how much you love them and stuff. Like, that is like a huge winner. If you are a genuine customer and you want to work with a brand because you love their product, that is a huge plus. And then honestly, just being really genuine and just telling them why you want to work with them. And then obviously like following up with your like engagement and what you're about and your rates and all that kind of thing as you do like your little media pack. But yeah, I don't know. I just always think the key would be to, if you're going to reach out to a brand, make sure it's genuine. Make sure you are well written, you know, you got good spelling and punctuation and grammar. That is huge. And don't sound like you're just some entitled brat that wants free shit, because the amount of people that DM me like that is horrendous. And it's just like a massive turn off, and I'll never want to work with them. So that's just a few little tips that I have as someone who's kind of, you know, on both sides of the fence. How to work up the courage to start uni as a mature age student. Also, did you feel a huge financial impact from studying full-time and reducing work? Honestly, about working up the courage, just do it. Who cares what anyone else thinks? Who cares how old you are? You only have one life, and if you know that you want to change career paths and it's something that you're super passionate about and you want to go study it, go do it. My mum went and studied in her 40s and it's the best thing she's ever done. She's gone and opened up her own business and is absolutely thriving, and I'm so happy for her that after having 4 kids she can finally work on herself and do it. And of course she got people thinking, what the hell are you doing? You are crazy, why would you do that? But she knew that that's what she wanted to do, and she knew she could help people, and she just went out and did it. And I found the same thing. I was a mature age student because I started uni at 22. When you're older, you appreciate it so much more because you know that the course that you are doing or the uni degree that you're doing, you know that you really want to do it. Because I feel like when you're 18 and fresh out of high school, a lot of the time you don't actually know that that's really what you want to do, and sometimes you're only doing it because you feel like you had to, or it was just like, oh, I don't know what to do, so I'll just do this. So you don't appreciate it as much. But when you are older, you know, like you have had to make a big sacrifice to go do that, so you know that that is what you want to do and that's what you're passionate about. And I feel like you just put in so much more work and so much more effort to make the most out of it, and you just take it a lot more seriously. And yeah, and I found like that really helped me in uni, and I guess reflected in my grades as well, because I will admit I got very, very good grades in uni. And I think that honestly just came down to my maturity and determination, because I knew that I really wanted to be there and I really wanted to do it. So just do it. So many people aren't blessed with the fact that they know what they want to do. And so if it's something that you know you really want to do, then you are already so much further ahead than other people. And it's amazing that you don't want to settle in whatever you are doing at the moment, because you know that there's something else out there much bigger and better for you. So just do it. Just do it. Like, it is the best thing you'll ever do. And with the financial side of things, mine wasn't too bad, because when I went to uni, even though my work was significantly reduced, I only went to work like twice a week. And then for a while there, when I was really busy with uni, I didn't work at all, but I was able to claim like a student allowance from Centrelink. So I don't know if that's something that you can look into, but that's definitely really helpful. It's not much, but it still really helped out with getting through paying rent and bills and that kind of thing. So yeah, maybe look into that. But again, I feel like even if you have to sacrifice your finances for a short amount of time, like I don't know how long your uni course will be for, if it's 1, 2, 3, 4 years, I don't know. But I feel like in the long run, it's definitely worth taking that sacrifice and just doing it. So yeah, often we need to sacrifice things in life, but yeah, as I said, nothing worth having comes easy. Okay, and lucky last question. I had to do this one because this gal actually sent me a DM because it's a really long one. So let's get into it. Mine's a long one, sorry in advance. So I'm in a bit of a pickle. I have the option of moving in with my BF and his parents for a while so we can save money and eventually buy a house. We live together currently with another housemate but are struggling to save, so it makes sense. Only thing is, his family home is really far from work, 1+ hour drive for the both of us, and in an area that I'm not too fond of. The other option is to rent another place again in an area that we like, close to work, but then we'd struggle to save money to buy a house. We're in our mid-20s and really feeling like we should have a lot more money saved by now. What would you do in our situation? Really excited to hear your thoughts. Firstly, I just need to say this because this is just the first thing that popped into my mind when I was reading that. Do you actually want to buy a house, or do you feel like you have to buy a house because everyone else is buying a house? I feel like the number one thing that people in their 20s struggle with is feeling like we need to follow a certain timeline, a certain pathway in life, because everyone else is doing the same thing. Everyone else is getting married, buying a house, having babies, like doing it all in a certain order. Can I just tell you, just because you are in your mid-20s doesn't mean you have to buy a house. If you do really, really want to buy a house, and that is like something you really want to do and you really want to do it soon and it is your number one priority, then like I said with a lot of these questions, maybe you do need to just sacrifice and just suck it up. This is the thing, if you can do some calculations on how much money you can save per week by living with your boyfriend's parents, even though it's far from work, but to be honest, like an hour, it does seem far, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, it could not be too bad. But even if it means that, yeah, you need to sacrifice the drive to work or living in an area that you're not too fond of, but if you calculate how much money you'd save in a week and then calculate how long it would take for you to save for a house deposit or a house or whatever you want to save for, having that timeline might help make the decision a little bit easier. So if you calculate that if you live with your boyfriend's parents for, let's say, 1 year, if you save that money in 1 year, then that way, if you need to sacrifice living in the family home for 1 year, I think it's a lot easier to get through it if you kind of have that timeline and that goal, and you know at that end goal, you'll have a certain amount of money and you'll be able to buy a house. Whereas if you just go into it being like, oh, you know, we're only here so we can save money, but you don't actually see the end of the tunnel or like the end of the time frame, it could make you feel really, really shit. So I don't know, maybe that might help sort of doing your calculations and seeing how long. I don't know, if it was a year, I would definitely say go for it. A year in the grand scheme of things is nothing. Maybe if it's a bit more than that, I feel like you have to weigh up your pros and cons a little bit more, because it does seem like, I mean, yeah, an hour to travel to work every day can be a bit, you know, a bit draining. But I'm sure like people that live in Melbourne do a trip like that all the time, and I'm sure people that live in Sydney and stuff do 1 hour trips all the time. So you're definitely not alone. But it just depends what your values are and what's most important to you. Like, can you work from home maybe some days a week so you don't have to go in every single day? Or like, if it's really important for you to live in an area that you love and that's close to your work and all that kind of thing, then maybe that might be the way to go for you, and maybe you can still save money. Maybe if you go into something a little bit cheaper that's still in the same area and that kind of thing, maybe a bit smaller, and then maybe you can still save your money, but maybe it takes a little bit longer. So maybe you think, all right, if we go move in with the family for a year, after a year we can go and buy a house because we'll be able to afford it. Or if we maybe, you know, move out to another place, maybe we downsize a little bit, maybe we go with something a little bit cheaper in an area that we like that's, you know, a bit closer to work, and maybe in that case we might save up in 2 years. So maybe you need to weigh out what you would prefer. Would you prefer the 1 year, you know, with the travel and not liking the area as much, or would you prefer stretching it out to 2 years and maybe kind of having the best of both worlds? You do your calculations to see how you go. It just depends on the individual and your values. So I feel like I'm losing my voice. And your values, and I guess everyone's different. And you said you're in your mid-20s, like you still have so much time. I'm in my mid-20s and I moved back to my parents' house last year and I'm still here. There is absolutely nothing wrong with having a different timeline to someone else. Maybe you're comparing yourself to your friends and that kind of thing. Like, don't feel like you have to be on the same level as everyone else. You still have so much time, and even if that means, like, you know, like I said, even if that means 2 years and making it a bit slower for you to save up, if that's the lifestyle that you want to live and that's what you like, that's totally fine. Like, you're still so young and there's absolutely no rush, and I don't want you to put that pressure on yourself, because stressing about it and having that pressure on yourself just makes it so much harder. It doesn't make it any easier. So I don't know, that's just my opinion. I hope that was helpful a little bit, but definitely do your calculations, sit down with your partner and talk about, you know, write down the pros and cons and figure out how much money you could save doing option A or B, and then just kind of come up with a decision that way. just trust your gut. I always say trust your gut. Your intuition knows what to do, so just trust it. So I will end it there. Thank you so much to every single one of you that sent through a question. I really loved these, and I think that the ones that I picked, I kind of picked like a bit of each topic, and I hope that they help, you know, not just the ones asking, but maybe some others of you that are watching. So yeah, thank you for sitting down and hanging out with me. Let me know if you enjoyed this kind of video, because I can certainly do more in the future. Love you all so much. Take care, and I'll see you all in my next video, which will be very soon. Bye!